A modest woman denied first-class boarding. Security called, humiliation mounting. Then she made one call to her billionaire husband Matthew. "They're refusing to let me board," she whispered. Faces paled as she handed the phone to the manager. "Record her number. I'm removing all of you from your jobs." Olivia Bennett moved through LaGuardia Airport with the effortlessness of someone who had traveled all her life. Unlike many of the business travelers rushing past in designer suits and expensive shoes, Olivia preferred comfort over luxury. Today she wore a simple black sweater with subtle patterns, dark jeans, and comfortable walking shoes. Her auburn hair was pulled back in a practical ponytail, and her only jewelry was a thin platinum wedding band. The terminal bustled with morning activity. First-class passengers lined up at priority check-in counters, while economy travelers formed longer queues nearby. Digital boards overhead displayed departure times for flights to destinations across the globe. The air smelled of coffee and pastries from nearby cafes. Olivia approached the first-class counter for Pacific Skyways, ticket in hand. She'd been looking forward to this trip for weeks. Matthew was already in Los Angeles closing a major business deal, and she was joining him for a short vacation afterward, their first in nearly a year. "Next passenger, please," called the attendant, a woman in her mid-30s with a crisp navy uniform and perfect makeup. Her name tag read Samantha Davis. Olivia stepped forward and placed her ticket and ID on the counter. "Good morning. Flight 453 to Los Angeles, please." Samantha glanced at Olivia's casual attire, her gaze lingering disapprovingly on the comfortable shoes with barely disguised skepticism. She examined the first-class ticket. "And how did you obtain this ticket, ma'am?" Olivia raised an eyebrow. "My husband booked it for me." "I see." Samantha's voice carried a note of doubt. She typed something into her computer, her acrylic nails clicking against the keyboard. "There seems to be an issue with your reservation. This ticket shows a first-class seat, but I'm not seeing the proper coding." Olivia maintained her composure. "There shouldn't be any issue. My husband confirmed everything yesterday." Samantha's lips thinned. "Well, there's clearly a problem. Do you have the credit card this was purchased with?" "No, my husband used his corporate account," Olivia replied. "Is there something wrong?" "Ma'am, we have strict protocols regarding first-class travel," Samantha explained with artificial patience. Perhaps there was a misunderstanding when the reservation was made. Olivia felt the first stirrings of irritation. "There's no misunderstanding. I have a confirmed first-class ticket in my hand." Two well-dressed businessmen lined up behind Olivia, their expensive watches gleaming in the fluorescent light. They exchanged glances as they overheard the conversation. Samantha lowered her voice. "Our first-class experience is designed for our premium customers. There are certain standards we maintain." "Excuse me?" Olivia's voice remained steady despite her growing indignation. "I can offer you a seat in economy," Samantha continued, her tone suggesting she was doing Olivia a favor. "Same destination, just a different seating arrangement." Olivia stood straighter. "That won't be necessary. My ticket is for first class, and that's where I'll be sitting." Samantha's friendly facade hardened. "Ma'am, I don't appreciate your tone. Perhaps you'd like to speak with my supervisor." "Yes," Olivia replied calmly. "I think that would be best." Samantha picked up a phone, never breaking eye contact with Olivia. "Daniel, we have a situation at counter 3. Could you come over?" She hung up, a small satisfied smile playing at her lips. "Mr. Reynolds will be with you shortly." Olivia nodded, pulled out her phone, and checked the time. Her flight wasn't for another 2 hours, but she knew from experience that these situations could escalate quickly. Behind her, the line was growing, and curious onlookers had begun to take notice of the developing drama at the first-class counter. Daniel Reynolds arrived within minutes, his polished shoes clicking authoritatively against the tile floor. He was a tall man in his 50s, with salt and pepper hair, and a charcoal suit that screamed corporate authority. The golden pin on his lapel indicated his senior position. "What seems to be the problem here, Samantha?" he asked, his voice measured and professional. Before Samantha could answer, Olivia spoke up. "There's no problem with my ticket, sir. Your colleague seems to think I don't belong in first class." Reynolds's eyes darted from Olivia to her ticket, then to her casual attire. His expression shifted almost imperceptibly. "Mrs." he began. "Bennett," Olivia supplied. "Olivia Bennett." Reynolds nodded, his corporate smile firmly in place. "Mrs. Bennett, I understand your frustration, but we do have certain protocols in place." Samantha was just following procedure. "What procedure requires questioning a valid ticket?" Olivia asked. Reynolds lowered his voice, leaning in slightly. "We occasionally encounter irregularities with our premium services. People attempting to upgrade without authorization or using tickets that were obtained through unconventional means." Olivia's patience was wearing thin. "Are you suggesting I stole this ticket?" "Not at all," Reynolds backpedaled smoothly. "But perhaps there was a system error. These things happen." A small crowd had gathered now, watching the exchange with undisguised interest. The two businessmen behind Olivia were whispering to each other, one occasionally glancing at his expensive watch. "I've been standing here for 15 minutes, Olivia said. "Could you please verify my reservation and let me proceed to my gate?" Reynolds exchanged a look with Samantha, who tilted her head slightly. He turned back to Olivia. "I'm afraid we'll need additional verification for this ticket. Perhaps a call to your husband to confirm the booking details." "This is ridiculous," Olivia stated flatly. "The ticket is legitimate. The reservation is confirmed. What more do you need?" Reynolds's pleasant demeanor slipped a notch. "Mrs. Bennett, I'm trying to be accommodating, but your attitude isn't helping. If you can't provide additional verification, I'll have to ask you to step aside and let other passengers through." Olivia stood her ground. "I'm not moving until you honor my ticket." Reynolds sighed dramatically. "Security," he called, gesturing to a nearby officer. The uniformed man, Officer Taylor according to his badge, approached with a hand resting casually on his belt. "Is there a problem here?" Officer Taylor asked, his eyes already assessing Olivia as the source of the disturbance. "This passenger is refusing to comply with our verification procedures and is holding up the line," Reynolds explained smoothly. "We may need to escort her to the main terminal area." Olivia felt heat rising to her cheeks but kept her voice level. "I have a valid first-class ticket. They're refusing to honor it because of how I'm dressed." Officer Taylor's expression remained impassive. "Ma'am, if the airline staff has requested additional verification." "This is discrimination," Olivia interrupted. Several onlookers nodded in agreement. Reynolds's smile turned cold. "That's a serious accusation, Mrs. Bennett. Perhaps you'd like to speak with our customer relations team after your flight. For now, I'm going to have to ask you to step aside or accept an economy seat." Olivia looked from Reynolds to Officer Taylor, then to the growing line of impatient travelers behind her. The public humiliation was clearly calculated. Make an example of her, remind everyone that the premium experience was only for those who fit the part. "Fine," she said, reaching for her phone. "Let me make a call." "Making a call won't change our policy, Mrs. Bennett," Reynolds said with thinly veiled condescension. "But feel free if it makes you feel better." Olivia didn't bother responding. She stepped to the side, phone in hand, while Samantha called the next passenger forward with an overly cheerful, "I can help whoever's next." Officer Taylor didn't leave, hovering nearby as if Olivia might cause a scene. The businessmen who had been behind her were now being processed with exceptional courtesy. Samantha's entire demeanor transformed into warm professionalism. Olivia scrolled through her contacts and pressed the call button. After 2 rings, a crisp female voice answered. "Mrs. Bennett, good morning." "Caroline, I need to speak with Matthew," Olivia said, keeping her voice low but firm. Of course, he's just finishing a call. One moment, please. Reynolds glanced over, a satisfied smirk playing at the corners of his mouth. He clearly thought she was saving face by pretending to call someone important. Olivia, Matthew's warm voice came through the line. Is everything all right? Aren't you supposed to be boarding soon? That's why I'm calling, Olivia replied, turning slightly away from the prying eyes of Reynolds and Officer Taylor. The airline is refusing to honor my first-class ticket. They're insisting I need additional verification or suggesting I take an economy seat. There was a brief pause. Did you tell them who you are? Matthew asked, his tone shifting subtly. No, Olivia answered, and I shouldn't have to. The ticket is valid, Matthew. Of course it is. She could hear the controlled anger in his voice. Put me on speaker. That won't be necessary, Olivia said. Let me handle. Olivia. It was the tone he rarely used, the one that had made boardrooms full of executives fall silent. Speaker, now. Olivia sighed and lowered the phone, tapping the speaker icon. You're on speaker, Matthew. Who am I speaking with? Matthew's voice filled the small space, commanding even through the phone speaker. Reynolds, noticing the change, stepped closer with renewed interest. This is Daniel Reynolds, supervisor for Pacific Skyways at LaGuardia. Who am I speaking with? Matthew Bennett, CEO of Bennett Global Ventures and majority shareholder of Summit Holdings, which, if I'm not mistaken, acquired a controlling interest in your parent company last year. The color drained from Reynolds' face. Samantha, who had been processing another passenger, froze mid-transaction. Even Officer Taylor took a small step back. Mr. Bennett, sir, Reynolds stammered. There seems to have been a misunderstanding. No misunderstanding, Matthew cut in, his voice ice cold. My wife showed you a valid first-class ticket. You chose to humiliate her because she wasn't wearing designer labels. Is that correct? The terminal seemed to grow quieter, as if everyone was holding their breath. Passengers in line had stopped pretending not to listen and were openly watching the unfolding drama. Sir, we have certain protocols. Don't insult my intelligence with protocols, Mr. Reynolds. I fly over 200,000 miles a year with your airline. I know every protocol. What's happening there is blatant discrimination. A woman in line behind the counter whispered to her companion, Did he say Bennett? As in Bennett Global? Reynolds was visibly sweating now. Mr. Bennett, please allow me to personally escort Mrs. Bennett to the first-class lounge immediately. We value your business tremendously. What I value, Mr. Reynolds, is respect, Matthew interrupted. Something you failed to show my wife. Now, I want to speak with your regional director. Not tomorrow, not in an hour. Now. Reynolds' Adam's apple bobbed as he swallowed hard. Sir, Miss Purtill isn't on site today, but I can assure you. Find her, Matthew commanded. The entire check-in area had gone silent, all eyes fixed on the unfolding scene. Reynolds was frantically tapping on his smartphone. His earlier confidence evaporated. I'm texting Miss Purtill now, Mr. Bennett. She'll be on the line momentarily. His voice had risen an octave. Matthew's voice remained steady through the phone. And while we wait, I want to understand exactly what happened. Olivia, tell me everything. Olivia met Reynolds' panicked gaze with calm determination. When I presented my ticket, Samantha immediately questioned how I obtained it. She implied I didn't meet their standards for first class. When I refused to accept an economy seat, Mr. Reynolds here called security and threatened to have me removed. Samantha had stopped processing passengers entirely, her face ashen. Nearby staff members were whispering urgently to each other, and a young man in a Pacific Skyways uniform was furiously typing on a tablet. I see Matthew's voice was dangerously calm. Mr. Reynolds, do you deny any of this? Sir, there was a misunderstanding about the verification process. Answer the question, Matthew cut in. Did you or did you not judge my wife by her appearance and attempt to deny her the first-class seat I'd personally booked? The silence that followed was deafening. Officer Taylor had backed away completely, suddenly finding something fascinating to examine on the far wall. Mr. Bennett, Reynolds finally managed, I deeply apologize for any misunderstanding. Our staff undergoes extensive training on customer service, and this situation does not reflect our company values. A trim woman in her 60s approached rapidly from the direction of the airline officers, her face a mask of professional concern. Her name tag identified her as Neela Patil, Regional Director. Miss Patil has arrived, Reynolds announced with palpable relief. Patil gently took the phone from Reynolds. Mr. Bennett, this is Neela Patil. I just received the alert and came immediately. Please accept my deepest apologies for this situation. Miss Patil, Matthew acknowledged. I'm listening. Patil's voice was steady but urgent. I assure you we will investigate this incident thoroughly. In the meantime, Mrs. Bennett will receive our highest level of service. If you'll allow me, I'll personally escort her to our Pinnacle Lounge and ensure she boards with priority. That's not enough, Matthew replied. I want immediate action regarding the staff involved. Patil nodded though Matthew couldn't see it. Of course, sir. Mr. Reynolds and Ms. Davis will be placed on administrative leave pending investigation, effective immediately. A small gasp escaped Samantha's lips. Reynolds' face contorted in disbelief. But Neela, he began to protest. Patil silenced him with a sharp look before returning her attention to the phone. Mr. Bennett, I'll also arrange for our CEO to call you directly this afternoon to discuss how we can make this right. Throughout the exchange, Olivia stood quietly, observing the rapid transformation around her. The same people who had been ready to humiliate her minutes ago were now falling over themselves to appease her husband. Olivia, Matthew spoke directly to her now. Are you all right with this arrangement for now? Olivia considered for a moment. Yes, but I'd like something else as well. Name it, Patil said immediately. A written apology to be delivered to every passenger who witnessed this incident, acknowledging the discrimination and outlining the steps your airline is taking to address it. Patil blinked in surprise but quickly recovered. Of course, Mrs. Bennett. We can certainly arrange that. A murmur of approval rippled through the onlookers. An elderly man standing nearby gave Olivia a subtle nod of respect. My wife's wishes will be met to the letter, Matthew confirmed. And Miss Patil, I'll be expecting that call from your CEO. Don't disappoint me twice in one day. Absolutely not, sir, Patil assured him. Mrs. Bennett will be treated with the utmost respect. As Patil ended the call, the dynamics in the terminal had completely reversed. Now all eyes were on Olivia Bennett, no longer as a curiosity, but as someone of consequence and power. Neela Patil personally escorted Olivia past the security checkpoint, apologizing profusely with every step. Behind them, Reynolds and Samantha were being led to the administrative offices, their faces blank with shock. The Pinnacle Lounge is just this way, Mrs. Bennett, Patil said, gesturing to a discreet doorway with frosted glass. I've informed the staff of your arrival. Anything you desire will be provided immediately. Olivia nodded but remained silent. The satisfaction of vindication was tempered by the knowledge that it wasn't truly her they were responding to. It was Matthew's name, Matthew's money, Matthew's power. As they entered the exclusive lounge, conversations halted momentarily as heads turned toward them. The news had traveled fast. Patil ushered Olivia to the most private seating area, where a server immediately appeared. Mrs. Bennett, welcome to the Pinnacle Lounge. My name is Jason, and I'll be personally attending to your needs today. May I bring you something to drink? Just water, thank you, Olivia replied. After the server departed, Patil lowered her voice. Mrs. Bennett, I want to personally assure you that what happened today is being addressed at the highest levels. By the time you land in Los Angeles, there will be significant changes implemented. Olivia met the director's gaze. This isn't about me, Ms. Patel. This is about a culture that judges people based on appearances. How many others without billionaire husbands have your staff mistreated? Patel had the grace to look uncomfortable. Your point is well taken. I promise you this will lead to a systematic review of our practices. As Patel excused herself to make arrangements, Olivia's phone buzzed with a text from Matthew. How are you really feeling? She smiled, typing back. Like I just witnessed a corporate earthquake. You should have seen their faces. His response came quickly. I'd rather see yours in about 6 hours. Looking forward to it, she replied. Olivia settled into the plush chair, observing the lounge around her. The same first-class passengers who might have judged her earlier now cast furtive, curious glances her way. A few tapped on their phones, undoubtedly searching for information about Matthew Bennett's wife. Jason returned with her water, served in a crystal glass on a silver tray. Mrs. Bennett, I've been informed that the captain would like to personally welcome you aboard when it's time for boarding. Is that acceptable? Olivia smiled. That won't be necessary. I'd prefer to board like everyone else. Of course, Jason replied, though his expression suggested this was an unusual request from a VIP. As Olivia sipped her water, she reflected on the morning's events. The discrimination had been real and hurtful, but the response had been swift. Perhaps some good would come of it, not just for her, but for others who didn't have the Bennett name to shield them. 6 hours later, Olivia's flight touched down at Los Angeles International Airport. As the plane taxied to the gate, the captain's voice came over the intercom. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Los Angeles. Local time is 2:14 p.m. with clear skies and 72 degrees. We'd like to thank you for flying with Pacific Skyways today, especially Mrs. Olivia Bennett. It's been our honor to serve you. Several passengers turned to look at Olivia, who kept her gaze fixed on the window, pretending not to notice. The announcement was unnecessary, another example of the airline overcompensating. As she disembarked, the entire crew lined up to bid her farewell, their smiles almost painfully eager. At the jet bridge, she was surprised to find not just Matthew waiting, but also Alexandra Chen, the CEO of Pacific Skyways, looking both apologetic and anxious. Mrs. Bennett, Chen began, extending her hand, I cannot express how deeply sorry I am about your experience this morning. Olivia shook her hand briefly. Miss Chen, I appreciate your concern. Matthew stepped forward, wrapping an arm around Olivia's waist. His kiss on her cheek was both a greeting and a statement to everyone watching. Alexandra, and I have had a productive conversation, Matthew said. Pacific Skyways will be implementing new training programs focusing on eliminating bias in customer service. Chen nodded eagerly. We're also revamping our complaint procedures and establishing an independent review board for discrimination claims. And Reynolds, Samantha? Olivia asked. Their employment has been terminated, Chen confirmed, effective immediately. As they walked toward the exit, Matthew whispered, She flew in personally when she heard what happened. Their stock dropped 3 points this morning after someone posted about the incident online. Olivia shook her head. All this because I wore jeans instead of designer clothes. No, Matthew corrected gently. All this because they thought appearance determined worth, and you proved them wrong. Outside, a sleek black car waited to whisk them away. As they settled into the back seat, Olivia finally relaxed, leaning against Matthew's shoulder. You know what the strangest part is, she mused. If they had just treated me with basic respect, none of this would have happened. Matthew squeezed her hand. That's usually how it goes. The simplest courtesy costs nothing, but the lack of it can cost everything. Sometimes the most powerful people are the ones you'd never suspect. Olivia Bennett's story reminds us all to look beyond appearances and treat everyone with dignity and respect. Have you ever been judged unfairly or witnessed someone being discriminated against? Share your experience in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story of justice served, hit the like button and subscribe for more real-life tales of underestimated people who prove their worth in unexpected ways. Where are you watching from today? Let us know. Our community spans the globe, united by our appreciation for these powerful moments of truth. Remember, true class isn't about what you wear, it's about how you treat others.